He's Jay Bilas. The 13th annual State Farm Champions Classic returns tonight. It's Duke, Michigan State, and then it'll be Kansas and Kentucky. That'll be at the United Center in Chicago, and Jay will be working with Dan Schulman and Holly Rowe. Good to see you. Before I get to basketball, you being a lawyer, I want you to represent Michigan and Jim Harbaugh in this situation that's going on with the Big Ten.
It's primarily, Dan, a due process argument. I don't think they're going to get to the merits of what happened and exactly what evidence the Big Ten may have. It's a question of, did the Big Ten follow its rules, and did Michigan get due process of a hearing and to present their evidence before a punishment was handed down? I haven't read the Big Ten bylaws. I don't know what their sportsmanship, this is all under the aegis or the umbrella of sportsmanship policy. I don't know what it says, but I think it's a little bit of an uphill climb for Michigan here. And I think the Big Ten is probably going to wind up having the authority to ultimately do what it did.
Is there cheating in basketball? I mean, this is sign stealing. I don't know. And we had the Astros in baseball. Is there anything that is still nefarious with college basketball, given that you have NIL, transfer portal?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there's always been, players being paid and all that stuff that's sort of outside the rule book. And nobody even knows what the rule book is right now with NIL. The players are not supposed to be paid for play, but that everybody who had any brain in their head knew that's what NIL was going to be. But I don't know of any, there's no in-person scouting for basketball. I know there's a lot of information sharing. So if I've got a friend, say I'm on the staff at Dayton and we're playing, George Washington, and I've got a friend on another staff who just played George Washington, I know there's sharing of scouting reports, but I don't think that there's anything nefarious about that. I think the problem for Michigan here was the violation of the in-person scouting rule. And, it used to be in basketball, football, you could go to opponents' games and have advanced scouting in person, but they got rid of that, I think, more for cost than anything.
All right. What should we be looking for tonight with this doubleheader?
4 of the preseason best teams in the country, I think the lowest rated team was 16th, and that's Kentucky. In the first game, Michigan State has not played well, and they're a veteran team that went to the Sweet 16 last year, and they've got 4 out of their 5 starters back. The only one gone is Joey Hauser. And I think they're at 2 of 31 in their first 2 games from 3. They've been out-rebounded. They have not looked the part of a Michigan State team. I tend to think that that's going to change tonight, and it better. Duke just came off a loss against Arizona in a heavyweight fight in Cameron Indoor Stadium. It was so great to see that kind of game this early in the season. And you can tell that Tommy Lloyd of Arizona and John Shire of Duke, want to play those type of games and test their teams. And Duke's got some adjustments to make. They got out-rebounded badly against Arizona, and Arizona kind of exposed that shot makers at the 4 position, they can lay off the 4-man and clog the lane. So Duke's going to have to adjust to that. Best
prospect in the building tonight will be who?
I think there are about 15 guys off these 4 rosters that are going to play in the NBA. I think Jonathan Givony projected 7 are going to be taken in the first round this year in the draft if they were to come out. It's probably between, I'd say, Justin Edwards at Kentucky, the freshman, or the sophomore Kyle Filipowski at Duke. They're very different players, but Kentucky's got kind of I don't want to say old school, but it's John Calipari going back to, hey, we're getting the best freshmen, and we're gonna develop talent. And at the end of the year, we're going to be really good, but we're going to be really young at the beginning and bring them along. He did the transfer thing the last couple of years, and it didn't work out quite the way. They weren't as talented, but older. And I think he's gone back to I want super talent, and they've got super talent this year.
The 3-point shot and how important it is. These coaches, when they go out recruiting, like, how important is it that they're looking for that 3-point shooter? And where is that at the priority list of bringing in these players?
It's pretty high. It's not quite NBA high, because I think, you've noticed this because you know basketball so well, but there's so many low post big guys in the country right now that are among the best players. They're not as coveted in the NBA, so they're staying in school longer, whether it's Zach Edey, Ryan Kalkbrenner at Creighton, you name Hunter Dickinson at Kansas, you name it. And years ago, those guys would have all been gone, but now they're coming back. One, they can make a lot of money in college, but they're not first round draft picks like they've been in the past. I think if you can stretch it, you're way more valuable, but you still need rim protection. And that's one thing. Kentucky has it, but their rim protectors are hurt right now. So they're playing kind of a smaller lineup, 5 out. And I think that'll change when their big guys come back.
He's Jay Bilas. He'll be on the call with Dan Schulman and Holly Rowe tonight. It's a double header on the mothership, Duke, Michigan State, followed by Kentucky and Kansas. When we look back on Loyola Marymount, were they ahead of everybody with what is today's, was it a different style with, we're going to take the 3, we're going to give you the 2, and we're just going to run you all night long?
A little bit, yeah. Paul Westhead, who I had a kind of a connection to, I went to high school with his daughters, Monica and Patrice, at Rolling Hills High School in California. And I also played with Jack McKinney's son, John, when he fell off the bike and all that stuff happened with the Showtime Lakers right around 1980, 81, give or take, when I was a sophomore and junior in high school. And I think when Westhead got kind of bounced around a little bit, it seemed like he said, okay, you want me to play fast? I want to play fast. And I remember looking at, I was an grad assistant at Duke at the time. And I remember looking at press guides of opponents, and everybody had their career high against Loyola Marymount. Everybody. If they played them, that was every player's career high because the scores were up in the 120s and sometimes 130. But yeah, they ran and defense was not at a premium. Even though Westhead grew up in the Philly kind of LaSalle, St. Joe's tree, where that's not the way they played. But yeah, I think they were a little bit ahead of their time. But I think you can balance it and run, get easy baskets, quick threes. I mean, you'd rather have a 3 in transition than work 20 seconds to get one where it's going to be more contested. It's not always true, but that's that. I think back then, Dan, we didn't understand because the 3 came into college in '87. And we didn't understand the asymmetrical threat it was. Remember back then when Pitino was at Providence and everybody's like, oh, my God, look at all the threes they're shooting. What, they shoot 12 a game? Now you shoot 12 in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different game now. But it's opened things up and it's a little bit more exciting game. But I'll tell you what, the people our age that are going, geez, these big guys, they don't know how to play. They're having to guard ball screens and recover, and they're guarding multiple actions, and you worry when they pick up a foul. Holy cow. My biggest task was I had to meet my assignment at the free throw line and fight him for low post position. That was the end of it. I never guarded a ball screen in college.
But I go back to that Pitino Providence team with Billy Donovan. I mean, that wasn't a great team as much as it was. It felt like it was a system. He had a system before. Nolan Richardson had a system, but, that was defense. But here was Pitino. I mean, he was so far ahead of his time with utilizing the 3-point shot as a weapon.
He always has been in everything. He's probably, along with Bob Knight, maybe the best teacher of the game I've come across. But, he's going to look to what's his advantage. I mean, a lot of, Dan, you've seen this as much as I have. A lot of coaches will talk about how they want to play and maybe not enough think about how are we going to win. Doesn't matter how I want to play. How are we going to win with the personnel we have? And Pitino's always been at the forefront of how are we going to win.
When you see Zion Williamson now, what goes through your mind?
Same thing that went through my mind the first time I saw him is that there's never been anybody like this on a basketball floor. And the only thing that's kept him from being the player among the players in the league has been injury. And when he's healthy, his numbers are ridiculous. His efficiency is a joke, and he's freaking unstoppable. And the only other player I remember saying that about that I've never seen anything like this on a basketball floor is Victor Wembanyama, because at 7'4", he's doing things that nobody's ever done at that size. And I'm not surprised he's maybe a little bit surprised he's having that much success this early. But I'm not surprised he's having success. You knew if he stayed healthy, it was going to come. But